Hello everyone, I'm Martin Nicholas Everhart, and today we present visual grounding for object questions. The field of visual grounding has come a long way. We can segment simple object classes. We can also segment referring expressions described in natural language, such as blackboard on the left. And we can also locate and highlight the answers to visual questions, such as what flavor are these cookies, or what is this a can of? However, all these tasks only ground directly visible elements, and they also assume a single image as input. But objects in the real world often come with several images, showing different practical aspects of the object. Also, people looking at these object images might ask themselves not only visual questions where the answer is directly visible, but also more general questions about the object and potentially subjective and abstract questions. For these more general object questions, we want to find visual evidence or useful context that would support or help understanding the answer to the question. Here we show some examples. In blue, what materials is the desk made of? In pink, will this desk fit my space? And in green, how sturdy is this wooden desk? Visual grounding for object questions has many applications, particularly in the domain of e-commerce stores. One possible application is to enhance shopping assistants so that they can output visual context that support the answer they provide. A second possible application could be to identify when the product images lack visual information needed to answer common customer questions, and then create additional infographic imagery showing visual information extracted from the product listing. Since there are no datasets for this task, we built two automated pipelines to automatically generate data. The first approach consists in converting an existing visual question answer grounding dataset, here the VGOQ grounding dataset. We use Claude to rewrite the visual questions into object questions. For instance, will these cookies pair well with afternoon tea? Or is this product suitable for vegetarians? Especially, we ask Claude to write the new questions so that the existing segmentation mask now highlight visual evidence rather than being directly the answer. The second approach starts from scratch, using the ABO dataset that contains real product listings with multiple images. We ask Claude to generate object questions for these products, to identify the most relevant image, and to list the concrete visual elements where it could make sense to ground the answer. We then use existing visual grounding models to obtain a segmentation map for these concrete visual elements. The reason why the visual grounding makes sense differs between the grounding results. For some, the segmentation contains visual evidence that allow to answer the questions. For some others, the segmentation shows an area where it could make sense to ground the answer, but that doesn't provide visual evidence. We use Claude and some human evaluation to classify the generated data into these different categories. To enable practical applications at scale, we train a lightweight model that can perform visual grounding directly without the overhead of a large multimodal LLM or from a multi-step pipeline. We use another part of the generated data to quantitatively evaluate different visual grounding models. We found that the performance of existing models drops when the questions are rephrased from visual questions into general object questions. Secondly, our lightweight model, which was also trained on this new task, outperforms the others despite being much faster and smaller. One limitation of our work is that both datasets are synthetically generated. Individual samples can be imprecise, so the results should be interpreted at the aggregate level, with metrics such as mean intersection over union and not sample by sample. Secondly, the task is inherently subjective, and what counts as useful grounding isn't always very clear. So formalizing what counts as valid visual grounding, depending on the task and on the question type, is an important direction for future work. Thank you for listening, and for more details, please visit our project page and feel free to come talk to us at our poster.